Ralph,
I'm good.
you must have had
It's,
contacts in last meeting.
oh no, these are just blue light canceling glasses
Oh,
after
that's cool.
spending all day on the computer. But I do wear glasses. I was just looking at my benefits to see if I could get an eye exam. Apparently I have 75 bucks I can spend. So I was doing shopping to find a good eye doctor because my eyes are not very good. How's
Oh,
the weather down there?
it's good. It's good. We had lots of snow last weekend, but it's pretty well all melted now.
Yeah, up
Have
here
you guys
too.
gotten any yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it melted up here as well, which is nice for now. Okay, well we have 30 minutes together,
Okay.
and it looks like I got your note on how you're all over the place with your spreadsheets, email, CRM with Aweber. And I'd like to spend the next 30 minutes just asking you a couple questions about your issues with being all over the place. And if I can offer services that solve your problems, we can talk next steps together. If not, we can just talk next steps for you. So how does
Okay.
that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. So rapid fire questions. Here we go. First, can you tell me about your company just enough to help me understand what you do for your customers?
Okay. So what I've done is I've created an app for limousine companies. And the purpose of it is to help them connect with each other to share trips.
Okay. Oh,
So like they currently share trips now, they're using WhatsApp groups, they phone each other, they might email each other, but there's no coordinated effort throughout Canada or through North America. You got big companies that can do it. They've got the resources, they got many people, and they look for companies in other cities and things like that. But the little guys have nothing. So I'm in it for the little guys, and then eventually we can grow into the big guys. So what they can do is with the software I've built, they can throw in a trip that they need help with, and that'll go through and it'll look for people that can have that type of vehicle in that area. If they don't have that vehicle or they don't work in that area, they won't get a notification. There are apps out there that sell trips. All they do is they buy companies. There's one called limo.co or
okay.
limo.com. And people will call them up and say, I need to go somewhere. And then they have the customer and then they sell the trip to somebody. But if you're a customer of Limos Anywhere or limos.com, I used to have to go through the emails. You get 100 emails, you might find one trip you can do.
Oh,
So this one here that I've created, you will only get notified if you can do the trip, so that you don't get all these extra emails and sign off. So I've spent a long time getting the software built. I'm not a programmer. I didn't do the programming myself. I masterminded it, I say. And then I've got some people who are going to test it out. But I have thousands of emails of different companies. So I've put them
okay.
into different phases. So I got lists of them in one spreadsheet. Then I got lists of the next group I'm going to do in another spreadsheet, and then so on and so forth. And then I've even started scraping for data down in the States. So I've got thousands of companies down in the States. But then what I did was I did an email I created an email and then did an email program. So I used Aweber to send it all out.
Mhm.
Then if somebody responded, how did I track it? I had to use a spreadsheet to track who called me or who answered. Then I did a phone call. I did a bunch of phone calls to phone call these people. And then I had to use another spreadsheet for all the phone calls. And you can see the spreadsheets just grow and grow and grow. And then I have a whole bunch of emails. So for different instances, I sent a different email. And then last Thursday, I was with Laura and they had this guest, and they said this thing about Airtable, and all I had to do was say yes or something like that, and it could automatically send my email, and my brain went on fire. It was like, oh my God. because I understand the concepts of databases. I just never built one myself. It just
Yeah.
didn't seem feasible. And then I started looking, and then so after I finished talking with you, I've been looking it up. I've created a whole bunch of tables to get going, made some links, and so I prepared myself for it. And if I can learn how to use those links to like grab my emails and fire them off, I can get rid of my LC, oh my God,
Aweber.
I can get rid of
Spreadsheets?
Aweber, but I also have a CRM. And
Okay.
that's another thing. I was just telling you about all the spreadsheets I have to update, but I still have to go into my CRM and update that. On top of that, I'm the administrator for the Ontario Limousine Association. So a lot of these limousine companies are in the association, and then I have to do things for them. But I'm also trying to sell them my services. So I'm trying to meld them both together, and then I've got something I do, another spreadsheet that does the stuff for the association, and then I got all these other things I do for them. And if I can throw all of this into one program, I can be so much more efficient,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm looking to do.
Okay.
So, in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Okay. So you answered a couple of my other questions. I was curious what was involved with all the too many spreadsheets that you mentioned. And it sounds like it's communications that you need the most help with. And when it comes to Aweber, something that I like about Aweber is that there's tracking. There you can really easily track who's opening your emails, but at the same time, I like Airtable for the ability to like operationally just scale yourself, because it doesn't really matter who's opening, it matters who's responding.
Well, see, that's the thing, like the opening, they went like Laura was telling me that the way some of the algorithms work, sometimes they can say that they're opening when they're really not, and not opening when they really are. So it's hard to. So when I was phoning people, and saying, "Hey, I see you opened up and read some of the emails," and they went, "What emails?" I go, "Oh, okay." And then someone says, "Yes." So it seemed to be like not consistent that they actually seen the emails that I sent. And so your last comment made 100% sense. It really doesn't matter if they're opening them. It matters if they're actioning them.
Yes. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about your role. I want to know, like, operationally what you do on a day to day. There's communications. We want to bring everything into one interface so that you can communicate. Are there other operational goals that need to get done that bring in the most money or that cost the most amount of time?
Well, I've just got my software where I can actually, I feel comfortable putting it on the market. So
Congratulations.
5 years. It took
Okay.
5 years. There's a long story behind that, but 5 years. And so what I'm doing is trying to get together a group of people that'll test it for me. So we'll kind of do a testing to make sure that I've hit the mark, and there'll be a few little things that I have to fix. I mean, I can't get it perfect, that's for sure. And then once I can get, well, I figure it'll take me about 4 weeks to test it. And then hopefully in January, I can say, okay, now people got to pay for it. And I can go
Okay.
harder at it with that. So what I need to do is test it, log what the problems are, and then get them to the software developers and get that fixed. And then in January, I just have to sell. So just keep cleaning my list of
Okay.
operators. And every time I call, log the call, what happened. If they say, call us back on such and such a day at such and such a time, that it sends me a reminder to do that. So that's another link I have to do now. So now I write it down on a piece of paper when I phone them. then I got to get that into a calendar, and it's just like, and I'm only by myself. I'm a one-man operation, and I work 8 hours a day at FedEx. So I have to do this all, like on a break, I'll call people, or when I get home on the weekends. So it's like I'm a one-man show, and until I get enough revenue to quit, I have to stay there and do
Mhm.
that. So my time is limited. So basically I
Yeah.
spend all weekend and every night working on my app,
Wow.
and
I
it's tiring.
I can imagine, but I definitely admire your ambition and drive. And I'm excited to see what happens in January when this launches. I do think I should mention at this point that I don't have the capacity to offer custom developments until February. I'm very happy to continue this conversation, just to help you flesh things out. But I should just let you know that in terms of my own capacity, February
So
is when I'm a lot more opening.
are you available for some Q&A maybe? Like, how do I,
Sure.
like, I'm very good at Excel. I'm very good at the formulas and everything like that. And so when I was watching you do them quickly, I could see what your formulas were, and they don't look that difficult. They don't look much more difficult than Excel ones.
Yeah.
It's just some of the trial and error takes time. And if I could reduce some of the error and just get, like, how you actually say turn your trigger on and it sends your email. If you could help me help me at least tell me what to do to build the link, and I could build the link. But if I have to figure out what I have to do first and then do that, you see how that cuts into my other time.
Yes.
Um, um, and then,
So,
then maybe in February, if we could refine it and perfect it, if I can get a base thing working right now, that would be so
okay.
good.
Okay. So we're thinking, oh, yeah, kids.
Hey, I'm on the phone or on the computer. I'm talking to her. Name's Jess.
Hey, how's it going?
She runs away. That's my
Okay.
granddaughter.
Uh, okay. So something like a consulting package. I also have some tutorial videos that you can watch so that you can get started whenever you want. And we can just build it out together. I feel like with your Excel background and the fact that you're interested in formulas is super promising to me. But we can definitely make sure that your table makes sense in a way that we're just mapping it so that we can start scraping data into it and linking those records, and then it just becomes second nature after you do a couple tables as well.
Yeah.
When it gets a little more complicated and you're making automations to pull data in from, let's say, Aweber or Calendly or other things like that, then
Well,
that's just more
well, my
consulting
plan
work
is
to
actually
figure
to
it out.
drop Aweber and drop
Okay.
the
See,
CRM. I mean,
okay.
the amount of work and effort, like, actually, I hired a virtual assistant from Barry who was doing the
Nice.
Aweber for me.
Nice.
Um, was Stephanie on the call with Laura?
No.
Okay, so usually we work with Stephanie and Laura, and Stephanie's sister, Jillian, is a VA, and she lives in Barrie.
Oh,
So she
okay.
helped me get all
Small
the
world.
emails out, but I think I spent more work than her trying to tell her what to do than she had to do it.
Yeah, that's
And
my biggest fear about hiring.
and it wasn't because she didn't know what she was doing. It was me trying to organize things to give her. And then I could probably send stuff out in groups of 10 right from my own email instead of doing all that. And then all the data lands in Aweber. Then I need her to help me find the data and figure out what I want. It was
Yeah.
just too much. So And then the CRM, I find part of it is I can't set the, if I do a whole bunch of calls and then I go in later on, the amount of time it takes to set the dates and redo the dates, then type everything in, then happen everything. I just need to do it once, not
Yes.
3 and 4 times. And then you know what happens when you do it 3 or 4 times? You eventually give up on one and then everything's not matching anymore and you're out. And
Yeah.
I'm already out and I haven't even gotten anywhere yet. So this thing here, I mean, I just blew me away. I do have some questions though.
Absolutely.
Oh, where'd they go? Do. I typed them out and then now I can't even see where they are.
Take your time.
Just a minute here. 2, 3. Gone. Oh. Oh. Oh, it's an air table. Where are you? There, sheet 2. The 50,000 records.
Mhm.
What's the difference between the per base and the per table?
Per base is the whole database, and every table within a base is a tab.
Mm-hmm.
So one tab is going to have X amount of records in it. And then the whole database is like the sum of all the records in every table in one base.
So if I have, okay, so if I have 3 tables and each table has 5,000 records, I'm already up to 15,000.
If you have 5 tables and each table has 5,000 records, so yes, you could have 50,000 records per base, and you can have multiple databases as well, where they can all be synced together. But
So
if you need,
so when I'm looking at it, like I create my first table or tab, and then I
you
create another one to link to it. So I have like all my company names in one, and then say every time I call one of them, I keep all that in another table or another tab.
Yep.
So if I have I say I have 10,000 companies and I make 10,000 calls, I've got 20,000, I've already used up 20,000.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're looking for something more,
You got to go to the professional level.
it looks like it. And I'm not sure what enterprise costs. But I believe it will be unlimited. Oh, no, 250,000 records per base. So that is something to consider.
Well, you could always if you're making calls in your marketing, once you've got them in, you can always just archive the calls, throw them back into a static spreadsheet, and then you're getting rid of a whole bunch of records.
There is a very comparable tool called Smart Suites. It's the competitor to Airtable, and for $35 a month, you can get 200,000 records per base. And Smart Suites, because they're new, they're up and coming, they have a really lovely team and offer 8 hours of onboarding as well.
Ooh, okay.
They don't have as Airtable is gold standard. They're integrated with everything. Smart Suite it's not in beta, but it is much newer, and they're still making a lot of partnerships at this time. So there's a
Okay.
few features you might miss out on. And I'm actually meeting with the VP next week just to talk about this,
Okay,
because they saw I was making Airtable content and want me to switch over to them. So I will know a little bit more about Smart Suite and whether it is worth switching over next week.
all right.
Yeah. So that will be 200,000 records and 500 gigabytes of file storage.
Okay,
Yeah. Oh, and this is probably American as well. 35 American. I always
35
forget that.
US, right. So Airtable is actually a little cheaper, really. Well, if you had to go to the professional, it would be more than 35 for Airtable. 'Cause
Yes,
they're
I
at
believe
20
so.
for 50,000 records.
Yes.
What are extensions?
Extensions are kind of like apps. So sometimes you can use things like Zapier to zap information to Airtable, and other times you can add all these different kinds of extensions, and people essentially built them to power up your Airtable. So an example of an extension is Data Fetcher, and that's a scraping tool where you can match records from your data fetcher and pull, let's say, revenue from Google Analytics into your Airtable every day. Another one would be CSV imports by Airtable. That's just an extension they've created so you can drag and drop Excel files into your Airtable, and you've already pre-matched the columns to the columns in Airtable. So there's just all these different extensions. There's codes. There's a lot of pre-scripted codes where you can merge records, you can create junction tables. There's like thousands of different extensions to just power up your Airtable. And I use a ton of them myself. It really depends on what you need.
So when you use an extension, when you've got your result, do you just take it out of Airtable so you're not using up your data? Or do you leave it sitting there?
I leave it sitting there, but with Airtable, with the professional plan, you get, I believe, 10 extensions. And for me, I use extensions that help my Airtables on a daily basis. So the data fetcher extension, as an example, I'm scraping data on an hourly basis with revenue and expenses. So it's part of my Airtable.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't have a grip on that yet, but I think I get a basic of what you're doing. So in the basic model, I'd be able to. Where would you store your emails? So you say an action happened, you say send this email.
Yes.
Where do those emails get stored? In Airtable or outside of it?
They get stored in Gmail or Outlook, whatever email that you connected to. So in your sent emails, just like an organic email.
Okay, so within my email, I would put in the data fields for the first name and all the things that are variable for it. And then I would have to link my email to Airtable, and then it would and it could grab, and then along with it, with that record, it would grab the email address and send it for me, and away we go, right?
Yeah.
And then it would use the email, whatever one I want to set up to use.
Yes, and you could, I don't do this, but you could set up a Zapier automation to pull the actual email copy back in. But typically, you're going to be sending partially canned emails. So
Right.
you'll click send email, and you basically have an idea of what the email is. It's whatever is canned in the background, plus the fill in the blanks of your record.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Then. All right. And Zapier helps you do that.
You don't need Zapier at all to send automated emails from Airtable. You'd only need it if you wanted to scrape data from the email, if you want the whole,
Oh, okay then. Okay.
the text of the email. I don't think it's worth your time to do that.
No, I don't have any need for that right now, because basically when I talk to somebody, either they want to know more, so I could put an email together that knows more, and I could just fire that off like as soon as the conversation is done, or even during it. Or if they're gonna join my app, the email to tell them how to register.
Yeah,
And then- Ooh.
go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I just had a thought where if you have a particular customer journey that you can think of, like step 1 is I send this email. If they agree, send this email. Then there's a fantastic tool. I would really just show you visually how this is done because it's hard to explain, but where you can create junction tables, and basically every single person that you need to contact, you can create a row where you just fill in the blanks for email to, and you filter them out. If they said no thanks, then they don't show up in your to-do list of people you need to send the onboarding package to, as an example.
That's exactly what I'm doing, actually, because I'll send the first email, and then within that, click on the link, basically, is what you want them to do. And if they don't click on the link, then I want to send them the number 2 and if they do click on it, I don't want number 2 to be sent. Right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what I need to do. And then if somebody doesn't click on it and they send number 2, do I send a number 3 or do I phone them? That's something I would put into my process. Because the point where Laura helped me set up, and I sent 8 emails in 4 weeks. So I'd send 2 emails a week. I didn't like the responses, and I didn't like the way that worked. So my plan is 2, maybe 3, file a whole bunch more quick information and get them to link. And especially once the app is actually working, I can keep statistics of how many trips were offered and how many were taken. And then I can keep whatever that information is. Whenever I send somebody and say, this is what you're missing out. 250 trips went out last week, and all 250 were scooped up. That's what you're missing out on. So
Yeah.
put live stats right into the need. So as I grow and send it to more people, I can put those stats in. And if there's where your extension is, could I actually tap into my app, or do I just have to go into my app, pull it out, put it into my little database or my spreadsheet and go? I mean, there's probably taking them out manually to start with, and then maybe eventually I can do it automatically.
So with your app, I'm wondering how you're tracking the amount of, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, the amounts of rides there are per day and how many
Well,
people miss out
they're
on.
going to be tracked in the app itself.
Okay.
So the app would the app is all database. So the app would actually track all the trips and what happened with them. So the data is always going to be sitting there. They haven't built me an admin screen so I have access to it yet, but eventually he has to build that so I can see what's inside there.
Is the app hard coded, or is it built on a low code tool?
They built it in C+.
Okay.
So I've paid probably $75,000 to $85,000 for these guys to build it. And it was a 3-month build, and we're into month 16 or 17 now.
Well, they'll probably know how to write a script at some point, and V3, V5 of your Airtable base, where you can automatically pull daily numbers in and then link it so that you're just sending automated emails.
And that's eventually that's what I want. And then because one of your other things in that last Thursday was the lead scrape.
Yeah.
I went and I bought the subscription. It was like, I don't know, Canadian, it was like $350 or something. And I have it going permanently. Like I have,
Okay.
I'm pulling in all of Canada, pulling in all of United States.
Good for you.
So I've probably pulled in about 25,000 limousine companies so far.
Amazing.
And there's a lot of work once you get the basic, because it's a shady industry in some places. You know, a company will call themselves 4 or 5 different companies. You really don't know which one you're talking to or dealing with. You know, they'll
Mhm.
call themselves 3 different names, and it's all just the one company. So trying to blast through all the information, I'm starting to learn some of the tricks that they're using, but for the most part, and some of the data is old, some of the companies have folded, but that's just the nature of all kinds of businesses. But
Yeah.
I'm starting with kind of the Niagara, Hamilton, Halton region.
Okay.
And then gradually I'm going to go out towards London, and I'll probably come around to the Barrie. And then eventually I'll hit Toronto, because there's like probably 1,000 guys in Toronto. They all don't have website presences, and I can't find them all, but what I'm offering is referrals. So if somebody refers somebody and they actually buy a membership, I'll give them 10% of the guy's membership forever. So I mean, it's like $5 a month or something. But if you get 10 people, basically, you can get a free membership. So if I can get everybody marketing for me, I can save all my phone calls and quit doing that. And then I can concentrate on moving out towards Quebec and Manitoba and down to New York State, sort of thing, and then get them doing the same thing. So there's just a ton of work to be done.
Yes.
And my method right now is too exhausting. And this Airtable just lit me right up. Just
I
lit me
think
right up.
I think you'll also really like, I'm thinking, step 1 is the pitch, step 2 is the invite link, step 3 is the call. And for you to get a daily or a weekly email to yourself saying, okay, here's the people you need to call. Just
Exactly.
so it's like simple.
Like I try to call people on my lunches. So if I could every day, it emails me, these are the 3 companies you're going to call today at lunch. And then when you get home tonight, these are the 2 companies you'll call tonight. And then it's amazing, 15 to 20 a week that you're calling, but you can't do it all in once. So yeah, no, those are some of that'd be really cool if I could build that together. But how much time do I spend calling people and trying to manage it? And how much time do I spend building my Airtable? I gotta balance the 2 out, because I agree, you got to put 20 to 40 hours in to get something out of Airtable. But I'm in the middle of, I've got people committed and they're ready for me to say, hey, we're going to start testing. So I got to do both at the same time.
Okay. So I'm wondering if, I would love to help you and I could totally help you with this. I'm wondering if you would prefer a private coaching session with me, or if you would rather get started quickly with a colleague of mine who will actually custom build it out. It's totally up to you. I think that we can start mapping out your Airtable in, I'd say I'd want to start with a 90-minute session, but I'm thinking this will be a 8-hour project where we just make sure we've built out something that you can actually, we've built out the table, we've built out the automations for it, and there will be some iteration, but if we can work together to build it and to answer your questions and help you become a Airtable expert, then we can do that now. Or if you need a pro to do a bespoke solution for you because you're a super
I
busy
know,
guy.
I'd rather work with somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Because if I have you build it, then I don't have any knowledge of what you built.
Okay.
And
I
then,
see.
if we build it together,
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to college, I took computer systems technology. So I understand the concepts. I just haven't used them in years. I just use my own stuff. And I know what I want. And if you guys could help me put what I want together quicker, otherwise it'd be trial and error. And the trial and error just takes so long. And if you can actually, and then I know what I want, but I don't know what's available. So
Okay.
if you know better ways to do things or ways to quickly do them, it would sure make it a lot faster than the trials and error. And then I find sometimes I get so far and it's like, oh my God, I could have done it so much easier. And you have to go back and redo it. I don't want to have to redo it. I just want to move forward. I can't afford the time right now.
Okay.
What would 8 hours be worth?
I charge $197 per hour.
So 200, so you're talking $1,600, right?
Sure. Let's round down. So 1,500.
1,500 plus tax,
Yes.
HST. Okay, and that's for 8 hours. Okay,
And I would propose that we find some time in both of our calendars as soon as possible. Starting with maybe a 90-minute consultation. If you want to meet regularly, if you want to do it all in, back to back, then just let me know with some advance notice, because
I would think if I would think we do an initial meeting
okay,
and then you guys would give me, I would have things to do, and then I would come back and say, okay, I want my next meeting such and such. Because sometimes I can get stuff done really fast. And then sometimes I just get exhausted and I can't do anything more. And I need like a couple days or 3 days just to do some stuff too at home for my wife.
yeah,
So if we could, like, an initial meeting would be great. We could hard code that, and then from there, kind of make them variable from there on in, and we just match schedules and do the best we can. I mean, if I'm doing that and sometimes you're not available, well, that's my problem. I just have to live with it. And then if you are available, then we can keep on going. I mean, to me, that would be the best way for me. I don't know if that would work for you
okay.
guys.
Yeah, and I mean, your consulting package hours won't expire. So worst case scenario, they're there for you, all of December or in the new year. So yeah, I think that's going to be, I think 8 hours is good. And we can also, if you don't need all the 8 hours, and you figured it out, give you a refund as well. So it really depends on, let's start working together.
Can we pay for, say, 5 hours to start with? See where we are?
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do 5 hours. So that's 13:30. No, 11:30, right? $130 HST.
I'm not the best at quick math, Jason. Let me see.
Well, what was your thing? 100 and I just
197.
197. I was just using $100 or 200 times 5 is 1,000. And then on 1,000, it's 13%, so that's $130. So that's 1130.
Yep.
And you use your email to e-transfer to? Or
You can e-transfer me, you can pay by credit card, you can pay by Stripe. So
Oh, that was another question I had for you.
yeah.
The Stripe.
Yeah.
Can you integrate those together?
Stripe and Airtable?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I could get Stripe every time someone pays me to download it, to say this company paid this thing here, this here,
Yes.
and then to save my records. So I'm gonna have more than, I'm gonna probably have 50,000 companies. So there's no way I can put all 50,000 in at once, because I'd ruin it. Like I'd use up all my thing, and then as soon as I have other tables with all kinds of other information, I'd use it up really fast. So that's one of my challenges is I might have to float companies in and out. Like once they become a customer, I don't need all their their phone call information or anything like that. I can just take it out and I can just throw it into a spreadsheet and I've got it as static information.
There might be another way where you could have one table that's just for your prospects, and then another table where you're syncing the prospects that say yes. So that now table 2, your contacts table is just the highly qualified leads. And they're
Okay,
just automatically added there when you tag them as highly qualified lead.
okay,
So I think there's a way to make sure you're not using all the records in one database without needing to be everywhere.
right,
But if
okay,
you just need to store people to pitch in one table or one database, then I think that would be fine. And you're still, for the most part, in one interface.
all right. So when would work for the first 90-minute one, and is there homework I can do to help it move along?
Yeah, I will send you, I have tutorials on just super basic welcome to Airtable information. So that will give you a really strong idea of just becoming an Airtable 101 user. So I will send that to you.
Okay,
That is, I'll just send it to you for free, and you
okay,
can check out my tutorials so that you understand how to start from scratch, what the field types are, and a little bit on formulas. Yeah, so that's some homework for you. And the other thing is to let me know what dates work for you. We are reaching December. Oh my goodness. So is there any time in December 6th or 8th? I have wide open.
a second here.
Or I know you work as well. So if you need to do this on weekends, that's okay too. We can get started on December. Actually, I mean, anytime in December on the weekends. Except Christmas Eve and New Year's. Well, actually, New Year's Day, that's fine.
No, there's football on.
Oh, okay.
There's football.
Forget that then.
That's right. That's the 11th. Oh, that's nothing. So today's the 24th. So I've been putting together what I want for tables or tabs or whatever you want to call them. So I can send those to you before the meeting too. So you instead of trying to figure out what I've done, you can have it figured out before that.
Sure.
What about December the 4th? That's a Saturday.
December 4th is a Sunday.
Was it a Sunday?
Yes,
So it is, okay.
but it's fine. Works for me.
That you'd actually work on a Sunday?
I understand that you are trying to get this up and running and do you work full time? And I totally
So
empathize with that. And yeah,
what time would work for you?
how is somewhere between 2 and 5 p.m.?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
Pick a start time.
a start time. Let's go with 3 o'clock.
3 p.m. December 4th. Okay, so I'll have your tutorials done by then, and I'll have probably at least a week before that sent you my tabs.
Okay,
And
sounds
so
good.
what I actually put in, I'll just, so what I did was I'm building them out, and then I didn't know what you call keys, so I just call them text link or URL link or something like that if I'm linking to another table to pull the data from there.
Mhm.
So if that's good enough, and so I kind of color code it, so anything that's in one that's a link would be a color, so you could see what I'm trying to link to grab the information from there.
Okay,
So I have, what I currently have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So far I got 11 tables.
okay.
And then, so each one kind of has and one of my biggest problems though is you could have a company called AA Limo Service. So in Toronto, they're called AA Limo Service. Buffalo could have AA Limo Service. And down in Las Vegas, you could have AA Limo Service. So I've kind of got I've decided to go with like a double key. So when you're dealing with them locally for the people that are going to talk to them, they would have that. But in my database, I'm adding the city, province, and country, or city, state, and country, so you can kind of discern. Because even in Canada, like one of the exclusive or AAA or something, those are the most popular names. And you could have like 30 of the same company name all across there. Like you got Toronto, and they'll spell limousine wrong. So they could have like, there's 6 companies all named the same, and they got just a different spelling of one word, like an S or a comma, or they spelled limousine differently, or took out an O in Toronto. It's just, it's so confusing.
Yeah,
And then you've got one
actually,
company, they've got like 7 email ads or 7 websites. And then if you look at the website, it's that company plus it's another company. And it's
yeah,
totally bizarre. So I think by putting the city, province, and country in mind as a key, it seems to keep them separated. It's very confusing.
well, in Airtable, every row has a unique record, which means that if people do have the same name or companies have the same name, it's okay.
Right. The thing though is I have to keep them straight for the customers too, because if you're in Toronto and say you want to connect with someone in Miami.
Okay, so that's just a matter of making sure in the primary fields, semantically it makes sense for you. So it's AAA Toronto, AAA Miami. And
Right.
that's just a matter of creating one of those formulas where you're stringing a few pieces of information together.
Yeah, and that's what I've done. Because I think even in my app, I'm gonna have to add those things onto the company names once I start expanding out past Ontario. So, but it's been fun. It's a fun journey, and it's huge.
Yeah, it
It's
sounds
huge.
like a lot.
Well, I think I've taken up about 20 more minutes of your time, but I really appreciate it. And so I'll just send you I can pay you by a credit card. How would we do that? I'll just pay you on that on the 3rd, 4th?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you an email and
Okay,
I'll send you basically a small contract and invoice and a button you can click to pay.
okay,
And if you want to pay with e-transfer, that's fine too. So I'm going to send you all of that plus the course.
okay.
And I'll
I'll
follow
just
up.
work with yourself then?
Yes.
Okay, then. That's
I do
awesome.
have, yeah, I'm really excited to work with a fellow Ontarian.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's nice to work local.
All right then. Oh, that'd be. As soon as I heard that as soon as you said from Barry, it was like, whoa, right
Yeah,
on.
small world.
That was so cool.
Yeah, and this sounds like a really fun project, and you're lovely. So this is gonna be great.
Okay,
And of
awesome.
course. So I'm gonna follow up with you tomorrow with everything.
That'd be perfect.
Okay.
All right, you have a great night. It was great talking with you,
too,
and I look
Jason.
really forward to working with you.
Me too.
All right,
All
thanks a
right.
lot. Take
Enjoy
care.
the grandkids. You
All
too.
right, bye-bye.